Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has responded to the thousands of angry truckers blocking roads and shutting down Ottawa in protest of his coronavirus vaccine mandates. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has hit out at the thousands of truckers blocking roads and disrupting supplies in protest of the country's coronavirus vaccine mandates. The Freedom Convoy protests began last month after requirements for truckers to be fully vaccinated before crossing the U.S. Canada border came into force. Thousands of angry protesters have driven to Ottawa and at 2 U.S. Canada border crossings, shutting down the city, blocking traffic and waving flags in anger of the country's vaccine mandates. Stream more global news with Flash. Stay up to date with more than 20 global and local news sources. New to Flash. Try 1 month free now. You can't end the pandemic with blockades. You need to end it with science, Mr. Trudeau said. Picture, Getty Images. Speaking to Parliament in Ottawa on Wednesday, Mr. Trudeau condemned the unacceptable behaviour and issued a stern message to truckers. Blockages, illegal demonstrations are unacceptable and are negatively impacting businesses and manufacturers, he said. We must do everything to bring them to an end. To the protesters, he said, you can't end the pandemic with blockades, you need to end it with science. You need to end it with public health measures. The Freedom Convoy protests began last month after requirements for truckers to be fully vaccinated before crossing the U.S. Canada border came into force. Picture, Getty Images. The Freedom Convoy protests began after the trucker vaccine mandate came into force on January 15. 1 week later, the U.S. imposed vaccination requirements from essential non-resident travelers, barring the 10% of 120,000 Canadian truckies to enter the country. The protests, which have crippled key sectors of the Canadian supply chain, has prompted leading business leaders to call on the government to bring the blockades to an immediate end. The Canadian business community is urging all levels of government to work together in bringing an immediate end to the current blockades and disruptions at our country's border crossings and key trade corridors. A group of business association leaders wrote, Canada's economy is being threatened as thousands of trucks and millions of dollars in cross-border trade that typically go through these entry points every day is being disrupted.